Alright, so a little bit of an update on the bike. Not the best news, but I got it probably 90%, maybe 95% of the way together. Everything's on there. Just a couple other things. I got a new tire ready to go, and then I couldn't track down one of the little clamps. Let's switch over to this bike. One of these guys in my parts bins, so I ordered one for an XR200R. It does not quite line up here. Looks like the holes are just a little bit too sensitive. I'm gonna have to drill another hole, oblong that hole, and then it'll work out good. But bigger issue, got the engine, it runs and everything's set up. And when I worked on the motor, I noticed that the crankshaft had a bit of play. Being that the bike's 35 years old, you know, not everything's perfect. I don't have a machine shop here, so I can't press out the crank, but I was just gonna let it run and see what happens. And I lost. It has a lot of play. It has pretty bad rod knock. I'll splice in a video here so you can hear it. But it needs a new crank. So it kind of sucks because obviously it would have been better to do that when I had the motor apart, because now I'm gonna have to pull the motor out, take it back apart. But it's just labor. So over here I've got a new used crank. It's got basically no up and down play, a little bit of side to side, which is normal. And yeah, so I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna do this, because I have this bike over here and I have an engine for it. It's in pieces here. This engine is a lot better shape per se than that one is, at least on the bottom end. I don't really have a way of showing that here other than oh, sorry, it's over here. This is the bottom end of that motor. It's just a lot cleaner. Probably been through a lot less. And its rod is in solid shape, actually. So no up and down play, minimal side to side. It's the same, if not better, than that one over there in the box. The one in the box is in pretty good shape. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do this. I might rebuild this engine, or just build up this engine, and drop it in that bike and just do a straight up engine swap. Instead of get the engine all built, just swap the engines and then continue on my way. Or I might pull this engine out, rebuild it, put it back, and then move on. It doesn't really matter to me, because both these bikes are going to end up hopefully in this sort of configuration. So but that's where I'm at. And basically once I get the engine thing sorted out, which isn't a terribly big deal because that engine runs, it just has full power and everything, it just has rod knock. So put a new crank in it, I had to order a new gasket kit, and then that motor, I have went through most of my parts and made sure I have everything. For some reason I did not have valve caps, so I might these are kind of cool. I can only find aftermarket ones. They're actually cheaper than the used Honda ones, and they're literally just little caps. So I might put these on my bike and then move my caps over to one of these, but that one has caps. It's just the parts motor doesn't. So not a bad gig. I think all said and done with paperwork and everything, and the crank, I'm like $850 into this, and that includes the cost to purchase both bikes. So if you take the initial cost of $300 and cut that in half, this bike's got, like, with the crank and another gasket kit, it's just shy of like $700, which I think isn't bad, because I think it's worth about, I don't know, this is ever changing and this video is gonna have aged, but they seem to be going for about $1,500, give or take about $300. And then new rear tires can go on. So it has new rear tire, new chain, new sprockets. You know, this will be every gasket replaced, because I'm gonna have to split the case and do the center gasket too. Front tire still is alright, still got tread, it's not rotted or anything. New carburetor, new levers, all new. This had no cables on it, so I mean, new clutch cable, new throttle cable, new brake cable. new levers, new grips, new fuel lines, new carburetor, new sprockets, new chain, new rear tire, new shift shaft, shift lever. Pretty well gone through. I had to do some work on the brakes. But yeah, this bike, not so much of a challenge. This bike's gonna be more of a challenge because I had like 2 of every part, so it's pretty easy. This bike, I'm gonna have to scrounge up some more parts and so on. Got the old fenders all lined up, but we'll see. This will be more of the project, so we'll move on to it. But I just need to get this engine thing sorted out, and then this one is ready to move on to its next owner, I guess. So I'll check back in with how the motor turns out, but probably take some good videos of the crank, just because I haven't done any videos on that, so of that full teardown. But anyways, thanks for watching. Alright, so this bike's done. The first one's done, the one that came with a motor. Pretty sweet. It's all set up, everything. I mean, everything's working, everything's proper, nothing is missing. Starts up and runs real good. Now I gotta start on this one. So this one will be a little more difficult because I had tons of parts to choose from with this one. Where this one, obviously, it's everything left over, so I'm gonna have to source some specialty parts and things. But everything from the engine mounts, I gotta go through and make sure I have them all, to that engine has never been put together whole. It's 2 different engines worth of parts. One nice thing though is that engine, this block or the case is really nice. It's off like a later year. So that's kind of nice because it has potential to make it really nice. I mean, you can kind of see the difference between the 2 engines. It's not just cleanliness. I mean, this is like missing paint. This one looks really good. So anyways, the engine's already out. I just have it sitting there, so I'm gonna get it hooked up to my little rack thing here. Try to get it put together first, get the engine all complete, and then we'll start stripping the everything off the bars, all the fenders off, airbox, that kind of thing. I'm probably gonna give the frame the same treatment as I did on this one, wire wheel it and give it a nice coat of paint, and then just start. I got to reupholster a seat, rebuild an engine, get all new cables. This one has levers, but I usually just buy new levers because they're pretty cheap. New grips. These enduro guards are actually kind of intact. I don't know, I'll figure that out if I'm gonna keep those or not, but just go through everything. I got a set of fenders here. I did rattle can these fenders white. They're already white underneath here, but somebody had spray painted them black. At least this way, if they get scratched, under the white paint is white plastic, so they look a lot nicer than they did. But got the front fender there too. I'm not sure if I'm gonna clean this up and keep the headlight. I think the glass is cracked, so I'm gonna see if I can find like a LED light that can go in here that replaces the assembly. But yeah, we're just gonna tear the engine, pull the engine out, put it on the stand, and try to get it all parted out. Most of the parts needed for this bike are already all ordered in here. I mean, I have the gasket kits, the piston, a couple other miscellaneous things, the bolt kit to put the engine back together, some oil. There's all sorts of stuff in here, spark plugs, springs, different caps. So I pretty much have everything I need with the exception of like a seat cover and a couple other things. But so far I am about $800 into this project. That's for cost of bikes and everything. So pretty good shape, because I mean, this bike's all ready to go to be sold, and I have, let's say $800 into it, and I have nothing into this one, if you want to look at it that way. So pretty good setup, pretty good deal. So one thing is, I did have to source that engine. I had an extra whole engine, the whole thing. It was in pieces, or it is in pieces, because I've used different parts of it for this bike. So the parts are fixed, or I mean usable, they just weren't the better. So I don't know how to source that into the price, because sourcing an engine for these is kind of tough. I just happen to have one, but that aside, I have nothing into this aside from the extra engine. So anyways, I'll get going into it and see how far we can get.